Hey, this is Phil Ratcliffe with Rebel Financial, and thanks for tuning in to our live broadcast, our last one before the holiday break. Today we have Jay Clouse here with us from Unreal Collective. Thanks so much, Jay, for coming and talking with us. So Jay's like our mini celebrity. It was easy for me to do my due diligence now because he has multiple interviews. He does his own podcast every week. They're fascinating, so after you watch this, go check that out. So, you know, just real quick before we kind of dig in a little bit more, just what is Unreal Collective? What does it do? Or what does it do?
Unreal Collective is a community for founders and freelancers. The biggest component of that is a 12-week program that I call an accelerator program. And so over a period of 12 weeks, and I do 2 to 3 cycles of this per year, I'll bring in 15 to 20 individuals, founders or freelancers typically, sometimes some creatives, and put them into small groups of 5 and work them through a 12-week program to help them go from point A to point B, whatever those points are for them.
Gotcha. And so even though there's 3 during the year, you have like 3 or 4 groups going in each one of those kind of
it's kind of
pods.
A cohort model. So I'll have like a group of 3 or 4 groups that'll happen in each cohort, and then I'll do 3 cohorts a year.
Gotcha. And then you're trying to figure out who would work well together and maybe help each other.
That's a huge part of the value prop, honestly, is I think I've gotten pretty good at when I meet with people, a lot of times before people join Unreal, I have personal conversations with them first. And so through that exercise and through a road mapping exercise for their specific project or business, I learn a lot about them, and I have a pretty good feel of who's going to work well together because they have similar backgrounds, similar goals, or they're going to be learning similar things through the process.
So that kind of leads me into something that just interested me from what you're saying. So do you match people more based on what they're trying to do or who they are? Or both?
It's... I have kind of a mental weighted average, you know, because at the end of the day, I want it to be a good experience, and I want it to be something that you look forward to as part of your week. Like, I want it to be an anchor part of your week. You're going to have this call, you're going to enjoy this call, you're going to benefit from the call. And if someone's not in your immediate group of 5, you still have access to them. You'll still communicate with them in one of our whole group, like whole cohort calls, or through our community Slack channel. But I typically tend to put people together based more on if they're a founder or if they're a freelancer. And the stage of that.
Thinking about totally different things.
I've had a group of founders that was just much more later stage, and then another group of founders that was earlier stage. And so I find ways to still create collisions for those groups, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to put an individual who's been running a business for 10 years into a group of people who are just getting started. They're going to learn a ton. He's not going to find much value, or she's not going to find much value immediately. So I try to put people into what is going to be the best holistic experience for them in progress and in connection.
So do you have sometimes where people want to join and you're just like, I could really help you, but the people that I have right now are not going to be a good fit. Let me push you back to the next starting time period where I can team you up with better people, or what so.
It's one of my least favorite aspects of this, which is the groups are 5 people in each group. So there's a mathematic problem that I need to have a multiple of 5.
I saw when you say you have the join, it's not like you're automatically in, it's join the waitlist.
For the accelerator, you have to join the waitlist, then you have to do an application, then you have to be accepted. And part of that is I need to make sure I hit a multiple of 5. And sometimes, yes, even through no fault of the project or the merit of the project, if I know I'm not setting you up for success, I'm not interested in taking your money. You know, I want, again, this to be something you look forward to every week. And because I'm on every call every week, I want it to be a good experience for me there too, as you know, not just because I want to have fun, but because I know that this is creating brand equity for my business in the eyes of the customer, and I want to make sure that they're getting a good experience. So if someone just isn't going to be around the type of person that's going to help them level up, I might go to them and tell them the situation and say, you can opt in or out knowing this, but sometimes through a combination of that, or if I had 22 people apply, it's a question of, do I drop 2 people or find 3 more somehow? And sometimes it's easier to drop 1 or 2.
So you started out kind of in software operations, you know, etc. So what brought you to wanting to help other people start businesses in all kinds of different fields? Seems like a pretty big leap.
And it's kind of 2 separate questions in my mind, because for one, I've always been interested in topic of community. I am so bullish on the idea of community and the value of community.
I like that.
And you know, in virtual terms and literal physical terms here in Columbus, Ohio. So that's always been a huge part of my life. And that's just always kicking around in the background.
That's awesome.
Software came because at Ohio State, I found the entrepreneurship organization called the Business Builders Club.
Okay.
And got really involved there, started interning with startup companies in Columbus, and was just really taken by how much you can learn and advance yourself and make impact when you're working at a very small company.
Yeah.
And I will say, at that time, I was still probably a little bit, I was probably getting into it for the wrong reasons. You know, I don't know if you've seen the South Park episode where they make fun of startup culture, where it's like, startup, cash out, bro down. There was definitely part of me that was like, that sounds like a pretty cool life.
Yeah.
And that's so hard and not the reality of being an entrepreneur.
Unless you're lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? You hit the first one, cha-ching.
Yeah. So right out of college, I had the opportunity to join a founder in Cincinnati to start a ticketing company called Tixers. And Tixers was a digital ticket marketplace, operated a lot like StubHub. But for ticket sellers, we would buy their tickets just based on the event and their seat and how much time there was before it happened. They said, here's what I got, and we said, here's what we'll give you for it, right off the bat.
Yeah. So you didn't have to match up.
Right. Right. And we did that in terms of site credit, so it's kind of like a gift card. If you were turning in Columbus Blue Jackets tickets, you could use that credit to buy. Yeah, you could buy like something at Nationwide.
Yeah.
You know.
So that creates more demand for it.
Yeah.
And less risk for you guys because there's more people to buy.
Right. Really good for cash flow too.
Yeah.
So we had some success there. We went through an accelerator program in Covington, Kentucky called UpTech. We raised a round of close to $400,000 back in 2014. And in 2015, we were acquired by a company in Florida that was making mobile apps for the Washington Redskins, the New York Jets, the Los Angeles Lakers.
So they wanted to use it kind of internally for their own stuff.
That was the theory.
Or they wanted to take it off the market.
that was the theory. We won't go into that long and painful story, but yeah, we thought we were going to go into their technology. It was a really great experience. We did the startup cash out, bro down method at like a very modest level.
Sure.
And we did it in a very small time frame, like 2.5 years. And so after that, through that process, I owned the product. I got the whole thing developed. I architected it. I had it like designed, and then I worked with the engineers very closely to build and test and deploy it. And what I didn't realize was through that process, I was really learning product management, because product management as a discipline isn't taught formally at any university level.
Yeah. Where's the Scrum class?
Right? Yeah, it's still so new, and people get into product management by necessity the same way that I did. And so after Tixers, I was pretty burned out, knew I didn't want to start something on my own again because it's a lot of work, and I didn't have something that I wanted to take a 5 to 10 year focus on. And so I thought, where can I learn from an entrepreneur that's playing at a really high level, still in the tech space here in Columbus? And so I went to Crosschecks as a product manager. And they're a venture-backed company here in Columbus in the healthcare space. They've raised
It's amazing how many startups and stuff there are in Columbus that most people don't know anything about.
And I'll tell you, after we're doing the podcast now, and I'm studying ecosystems all over the country.
Yeah.
Columbus is like in a really special place nationally.
I think that's awesome. Like when you think about like Silicon Valley, and people say, well, why would they pay somebody 2.5 times more to live there? Because they can share ideas, and the culture is good. And if you could build something like that in some place here where it's 2 or 3 times less expensive, that's like awesome.
And you're seeing it in ecosystems all over the country. I think Columbus is just taking out San Francisco, New York, and Boston. Columbus is just fighting with, I guess we're a little bit behind Chicago and maybe Minneapolis. But otherwise, we're the next city in that conversation across 48 states or whatever it is. For startup activity and venture activity.
Oh, cool. So one of the questions I think about is like when you do something that's community like this, and like a lot of the group are people that all need to learn, and obviously you're going to facilitate, or maybe you have other people that help to facilitate. How do people that don't know help each other? Isn't it like the blind leading the blind?
Well, it's rare that I have if, for example, I had 5 lawyers apply to be a part of Unreal Collective. I probably honestly wouldn't put all 5 in the same group. There's a lot of diversity of experience that I think is valuable, and a lot of tangential experience that I think becomes useful to people. If I am we've had YouTube creators in a group, and they're talking about their marketing plan, which becomes useful for a podcaster or a blogger or a business owner who's thinking about their content strategy.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you take from what other people are doing, even if you think on its surface it's not immediately similar to you. A huge part of the value prop of Unreal is the pure accountability mechanism of having a weekly call with these people.
Okay.
Because a huge component of each of those calls is that we're asking you to lay out action items and then report on those action items. But not just your typical check email, do these menial urgent tasks. We really pull out the important work to help you work on the business versus in the business. What are the 5 activities I can do this week that are going to incrementally move the business forward into a bigger direction versus just sustain.
So half the call is learning new things and sharing ideas, and the other half of the call is accountability?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously.
The way it breaks down, the last 10 minutes, we say I have a public spreadsheet for that group, and I say, okay, what are the 3 to 5 things you want to get done this week? And I write them down, and now it's on paper. Now you're accountable for it. The first 10 minutes, I'll go in reverse now, is checking against last week's items that we had put down.
Gotcha.
It's like, how did this go? We mark yes, no. It creates like an actual average of how well you're doing against the things that you're doing in the sheet, just as like, it's kind of gamified, I guess. But, and then in the middle, the 40 minutes, on a rotating basis, is one person that's in that group. They have their week to be on the hot seat, is what it's called. And so, before you're on the hot seat, you fill out this very brief questionnaire to say, here's what I want to talk about this week. I'm looking for this type of help, whether it's ideas, feedback, connections to people. Here are the things I've considered. Here's any other relevant context that's useful. And they give everyone else in the group a couple days to sit with that and think about it.
Yeah.
Then we get in that call and that 40 minutes goes, I let them kick it off and say, where would you like to start? And it becomes very Socratic. You know, it's just learning by communicating. And, you know, as a business owner, especially like as someone that does coaching or helping people do accountability things, it's always so hard to treat yourself as your own client because you're too close to it. And so having that group of minds around you on a weekly basis, even if it's stuff that you've kind of thought or might have known before, having 5 people validate it and like give you very unbiased feedback is super useful, super valuable.
And even if you're in that industry and you're with people with different industries, most of your customers or clients are not going to be in your industry, so it's good to get that other opinion as well too that you may not be getting. Especially if a lot of the people that are giving you feedback work for you.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll work on things like their marketing or their messaging. And so you share with us your marketing plan or your website and say, let's get some feedback on this. We may not be in your industry, and your website may be close to Spanish. We may be like the user for you. Like, let's take Rebel Financial. If you were looking to attract a certain type of user persona or customer persona, and you had the messaging on the website and you're like, this is great, this is what they need. If I fit within that bucket and I can come on and look at the website and say, this is actually very unclear to me, now you can tweak that to make sure that it's landing.
Something's wrong.
And it's so much easier when there's somebody with an outside perspective than your team who understands Rebel Financial in and out. They know it so well. So when they read the messaging, it makes sense to them because they have a bunch of context that someone coming to it fresh wouldn't have.
So give us a couple of examples of past clients, community members that you've had.
Sure. So again, roughly it breaks into founders and freelancers, and there's this third group of people who are just doing creative projects.
Okay.
So I'll go with the financial theme here. We've had a founder named Travis Smith.
Okay.
He has a company called TribeVest. TribeVest is a group investing platform. They do a matching process to say, we understand your risk tolerance, and usually they have like a family group that comes in already, but they make sure that a group of people have a similar goal for alternative investments.
Okay.
And they create an LLC vehicle around that, and they create the mechanism for you to do an auto deposit into an account. Yeah. And now you're pooling the savings of a group of people so that you can actually invest into wealth building assets like an apartment complex or a condominium, or he's even bought a racehorse.
So like direct investment.
Yeah. It's like pooling the power of smaller
That's cool.
savings
I'm going to have to check that out now.
So he's a founder, and he was preparing for his fundraise, which has been going very well. He was building out the first MVP of his product. Then you have the freelance side, and a recent example that's top of mind is Val Geisler.
Okay.
Val is in Columbus. She is nationally and even internationally known for being one of the best email marketers out there. In fact, if you're looking to do, if you're looking to write the sequence of emails for like your user onboarding or anything that's kind of transactionally based or automations based, Val is like the best person to help you write that. She's worked with incredible software companies, the Silicon Valley firms, like, yeah, she's amazing. And so for her, she was looking at a couple of things. She wanted to run a test version of a workshop to help other copywriters do email strategy really well. And since that time, she did that workshop. It went really well. That workshop converted into her incubator, where she's selling like VIP slots to work directly with her to learn email strategy. And that's just about sold out. She sold out her VIP spots for that awesome. Like overnight.
Yes.
And it's a program that's like $800 a month for 6 months.
Yeah.
And she like just went through it because people understand her value and what she's doing.
Yeah.
But she had a very specific focus going through Unreal. Then you have people who are doing creative projects. We've had podcasts. We've had a comic book. We've had workout goals. Those things are a little bit more intangible.
Yeah.
But if you have a very specific
get a following.
Yeah, we've had another one. We've had a memoir. And so, if you have an outcome you're trying to get to, we can structure a roadmap for the 12-week program that'll work for you, and I'll still do that best fit analysis of what's the best group for you to be within.
Sounds like a wonderful thing, because I've known so many business coaches over my life, and it seems to me like one of the best things that they do is the accountability thing.
Yeah.
But most of them are so super expensive
Yeah.
compared to like what you're doing that is very affordable for people, and there's more community involved instead of just one person. And I'm not trying to like throw down the value of every business coach out there or anything like that, but I get somebody that comes to me and it's like, oh, I've been in the restaurant business for 10 years and it's only $10,000 a month for 3 months, and I'm just like, you're crazy. Yeah.
There are a ton of coaches out there.
Yeah.
Some of them are amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't. It's hard as a user to make sure you're pulling the right people.
Yeah.
But, when I talk to people about Unreal, I tell them, like, the value prop here is not me as a coach.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as a coach. The value prop for me is that I'm creating the space for you and being a lightning rod for interesting people who are going to help you grow.
But I think the outcome is very similar, at least what you would idealized want from it.
Right, exactly.
In the end.
Exactly. It's a different
and it's probably, I think about it, just thinking about it right now, almost safer, because you're diversifying in multiple people.
Yeah.
You still get the accountability, and obviously if you're a startup or a business that's younger, you don't have a ton of money.
And a lot of people I work with, they're solo practitioners. They're either a freelancer or they have a very small, not yet developed team, and so being an entrepreneur is lonely work. And so having this as an anchor where like you're learning from people, you're connecting with people, you're building community around you, you're being held accountable. I think it's very important work because something a friend of mine tweeted one time. He said, mental health is the story that founders never tell. And I think community and friendships and relationships around what you're doing is the solution to that.
It's interesting to me because in our industry, we do like study groups, where we try to get together peer-wise. But I think one of the themes I saw on your website multiple times is talking about, working on your business instead of in your business, which is what I'm most interested in a lot of times. But a lot of my practitioner peers, they're more worried about working in the business. So they want to talk more about the financial plan or more about this investment
thing. But if you get stuck in that, you're not building the business.
Yes. And I want to talk more about, like, what are you using? What are you doing to grow? How are you changing your marketing? How are you growing up new advisors? And it's very difficult to find a study group that's more focused on that, of people that are successful, because I think people that are being more successful in that, they don't think that they need as much help. Yeah. And they could do better, and then they could help other people, and it's like collaborative synergy, so.
Yeah. And there are things like Unreal, there are mastermind groups or other programs that are very similar that for people as they get further along, your wins aren't as compacted. So a weekly call doesn't always make sense. If like you've been in business for 7 years, you're probably going to be in business for another 7. Yeah. And your wins are much larger business development type goals that take weeks, maybe months to achieve anyway. And so as you kind of go upstream to people who have been in business longer, the programs shift to more of like a monthly model, like a Vistage. or a business coach that you kind of call on an as-needed basis.
Well, that's why you kind of had the different levels from where it's more monthly to weekly, right? Yeah. Well, anything you'd like to leave us with? Any last thoughts or piece of wisdom or what so?
You know, I think something that I tweeted about this morning that I've been thinking about a lot is I talk to a lot of people who consider starting a business, and I think that's great. Some people start a business because they have some success. Maybe they've invented a product and they're excited about it, and now they're suddenly thrust into the role of CEO of this company selling this product, and that's not what they wanted to do. I have no interest in convincing people to be the CEO of their own companies. If you don't have that drive, then this isn't really going to work. But when people think about starting a company, I think there are a lot of ways to start small that are not risky at all, that I would encourage people to do early on, and sort of increase the velocity of exhausting your options. If you have ideas and things you want to do, let's try to turn it up to where you can validate it and pursue it, or kill it and stop thinking about it. Yeah. And when you're thinking about how you want to spend your time, I think too many people ask themselves the question, what will this job or role do for my identity? How will it look to tell people that I do this thing? How will it look on my LinkedIn? How will it look on my resume?
You got ego, right?
But I think it's so much more fulfilling to ask yourself, what do I want my days and weeks to actually look like?
Sure. And
the activities in those days and weeks to be like? And what type of role can help fulfill that for me? And a lot of times, to answer that question, you have to build a life of your own design, and that's what I'm here to help people do.
That's awesome. I think the younger generation gets that better, and the older generation sometimes it's like you got to maximize money, not
there's the path,
maximize like happiness in life, because what's money for?
Yeah,
if you die the richest person in the graveyard, what's the purpose of that?
And I think the biggest misconception is that like the path, you know, college degree, nice job, work 30 years, collect a pension. The path for that was you do that, you work hard, we'll take care of you. Companies aren't as good about taking care of you.
Sure.
Loyalty.
And a lot of people when they retire are not even happy.
Yeah.
They think they will be.
And loyalty is a two-way street. People talk like my generation has an average length of time of like 2 years at a job or something extremely low. Yeah. And people are like, there's no loyalty anymore. It's a two-way street. Employment's at will. And you see these layoffs for one reason or another, and you're kind of stuck holding the bag. And I think that the safest path is the one you make yourself.
I absolutely agree. That's the new economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being here, Jay. That was awesome.
I can't believe that time flew by already.
It does. It does. Well, you guys check out his podcast. It's Upside. So even they do a great job. Even if you just Google the name of his company or him, you've done an awesome job with your SEO. All the stuff pops up right there. You guys can find it all. He has a wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
You've given me multiple things to keep track of, and hopefully somebody's in there has been keeping notes, or I'm going to have to watch the whole thing over again and take my notes from what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys have a super holiday, whatever you celebrate. All of us can celebrate the new year. We will see you back on January 4th. We'll have Steve Vitale here from Furniture Bank of Central Ohio. So stay warm. See you in the new year.